If we don't have customers, we don't have a business. This gives you the opportunity to go viral. You need to understand the platforms that you're using, especially when you're being creative and innovative. You're going to make this K a month, that K a month. Let's triple your income in 3 days. And they're curious to learn more. You being in the media makes sense, because now what is the one thing that is most important to the buyer? You need a marketing team. Is your company vulnerable to fraud? Information is the new currency. The library was hacked data. Hi, how is everyone today? Welcome to another episode of Boss Chronicles Unpacking Leadership Literature. Today, we are looking at Guerilla Marketing by J. Conrad Livingston. It is an exciting book, and this book, Guerilla Marketing, is actually a benefit or follow-up, if I may, from The Art of War, Sun Tzu's book, The Art of War for Managers, which was an updated edition for business owners. And if anyone knows anything about guerrilla warfare, it is that blitz sneak attack. Now, the reason why I wanted to follow up with Guerilla Marketing, this particular book, is because last week we looked at Sun Tzu's book, The Art of War. And really, in the 6th century, in The Art of War, Sun Tzu proposes guerrilla warfare, that sneak, blitz, quick attack, so that people know who you are. And essentially, when you go into guerrilla warfare, if you know anything about military or strategy and planning, what it's all about is like a swift, unexpected attack. And really, they're pinpointing and they're zoning in on a specific area, usually your resources, your supplies. And if they can stop your supplies, then essentially you've lost the war. Because if you have no supplies, if you have no food, no gear, no material coming in, once that's stopped, you've lost. But the other team has won. So now we're going to get into guerrilla marketing. Now this type of strategy and marketing was created in the 80s, around 84, by J. Conrad. And it is what a lot of small businesses need to use today. Actually, they could have used it anytime. And I'm very certain that we can continue to use it in the future. And guerrilla marketing is different from regular marketing. So if you have a marketing team, maybe you're a mid-sized company, big companies, they all have their marketing team. Maybe you're a smaller company and you have a marketing team, 1 or 2 people on that team or contractors on that team that is helping you with your marketing. So they're going in for the long haul. Then there is the blitz marketing, that guerrilla marketing mindset, right? That quick attack. And it's usually to bring awareness. Now, we see this with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola does not need anyone to know who Coca-Cola is. They have been around for a century. They've been number one for almost a century. Okay, like they're in the top 2 always. But they still use guerrilla marketing. And I'll share a secret. They use that guerrilla marketing in the Olympics. If you ever watched the Olympics, you would see that their posters and everything is plastered everywhere. So they don't even need people to know about Coca-Cola, but they sponsor. They're one of the sponsors at this event because it is such a high profile and it has high visibility. So what we're seeing now with guerrilla marketing, they're taking the strategy of guerrilla warfare. They are zoning in and targeting into their audience, wherever their audience is going to be. And then they're hitting the people. The people are getting the brand awareness. It is the brand awareness. So when they think of a soda, the first thing they think is Coca-Cola, right? So same thing with your business. That's exactly what it is. When you're doing your marketing strategy, you have the long-term goal, right? You want people to know you, the brand awareness, know, like, and trust you, but that guerrilla marketing technique is for you to get high visibility. And today I'm going to be sharing 5 points with you, 5 tips. Normally in the books, I go through, I let you know which page number, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm really just going to be highlighting 5 points of guerrilla marketing that you could implement in your business right now, today, to start, because it can be most effective. Now, when would be a good time to implement guerrilla marketing? Anytime is a good time. However, you need to have strategy. You need to have the strategy to it, because with guerrilla marketing, it has the potential to go viral, right? You're targeting your audience. People kind of already know you, and you're really zoning in. And in those 5 points, I will touch on the viral aspect. But with marketing itself, we see, and I've people who do marketing for me, who work with me and support me on this. They are in for the long term, and they're doing all the things and supporting the way they're supposed to support. But let me tell you, Christmas is coming. So I have to have that period of time where there is going to be like that blitz, right? That blitz attack, so that I can be highlighted. Now, I'm not going to be doing it around the same time that others in my field, which is in leadership, is going to be doing it. I have to do it strategically just before. I have to start very, very early, slowly, which I'm doing. And then all of a sudden, for a period of time, you're going to see me most everywhere. Why? Because I need people to know who I am. I want them to know my name. I want them to know Delise Abraham. I want them to know Faith Abraham. I want them to know about Faith and Sparkle's World, what we're doing, how we're encouraging, how we're inspiring, how we're influencing this and future generations. So that is really that whole essence of it. We also see guerrilla marketing techniques being employed with other service-based coaches, consultants. When we look at Tony Robbins, for example, I'm using him as an example because most people know who he is. When we take a look at him, his marketing team, it never stops, right? It's a machine. It never stops. However, when he's doing his New Year's goal setting seminars and such, either with himself or he has a team of people for the 5-day challenge, he starts off in September, late September, to late October, beginning of November. So you'll see that blitz attack right away every day on your social media feed, on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, X. You'll see his stuff pop up so much, right, for this 5-day event into the new year. Then you'll see it kind of wanes off a bit. It weans off a bit and it slows down a bit. And then all of a sudden, after Christmas, it comes up again. So it's very, very strategic. They do the blitz attack in the beginning of fall. They go through that whole period. They know the holidays coming up. They pause for a second. It's still going. You're still seeing it. But then just right after Christmas, it picks up heavily and rampantly before January. I think like the mid-January he has, that's when he starts, around the mid-January time. So it amps up again for another 2 weeks for that blitz attack. And then you're seeing him everywhere. And this is where, of course, people know, like, and trust him. They know the brand. They trust the brand. And so, of course, millions and millions of people register for his workshop, his free workshop that he's promoting, the 5-day workshop. And then from there, that's when his funneling, his pipeline, his people are on it for the sales team, where they align with a coach, either take a course from him, so on and so forth. So that is the guerrilla marketing technique that we see now a lot in service-based industries. Today on Boss Chronicles, we're going to be looking at the book, we're unpacking the book, Sell Without Selling Out, A Guide to Success on Your own terms. When we think of sales and selling, obviously we think of their sales coaches who are top in their industries and getting into certain programs that align with our strategy and or marketing, whatever it may be. And that looks different for everyone. Although it is important to have your own sales coach, I just want you to understand that this unpacking of the book is a leadership literature book in sales. And as a leader in your industry, although you may have your own team and although you may have your own sales mentor and sales coaching, it is necessary for you to keep learning, keep growing. And on top of all of that, you need to be abreast of of sales, essentially. You have to be abreast of sales. So you have the team, but you need to also have an understanding. Because when it comes down to it, if your sales are not performing the way it needs to, as the owner of the company, or perhaps the head of sales, or the head of the department, or maybe you are the VP of a particular section or department, if you're not making the sales needed, they're going to want to know why. Either the board might want to know why, stockholders definitely want to know why, as well as the team, your CEO. He or she may want to say, why isn't this working? What's going on here? And so, yes, you have, as I mentioned, your own sales coach or your own sales mentor that you're working with, but then you have to go within. And a lot of the things that where we're leading to, we're in this era of conscious leadership, we're getting into that spiritual leadership as well. And with that, that means you have to start looking inward, because sometimes you have all the strategies, you have the tactics, you have something that has worked for millions of other people, but for whatever reason, it's not working for you. And your coach, your mentor, they're going to tell you, you got to start looking within. Where is the blockage within yourself? And so today, with this book, Sell Without Selling Out, A Guide to Success on Your Own Terms, that is exactly what Andy Paul is talking about. He found that in the beginning of his sales career that he was selling out. He sold from a script, but that script didn't align with him. And because that script didn't align with him in his beliefs, in his value, it was hard for him to make sales. And of course, he parted ways with the company that he was with. Ultimately, that's what happened. But then he had to figure out how to sell. He had to understand the psychology of sales. More importantly, he had to understand the psychology of self when you're selling to yourself. And so this is where this particular book that he has, Sell Without Selling Out, A Guide to Success on Your Own Terms, come into play. Now, this book has several chapters, 13 to be exact. However, for this particular episode, I'm only picking two points or two chapters that I will go into depth. And the reason why I'm picking those two is because, in my opinion, that's where you get the real meat and the potatoes of the book. This is where people want to start zoning in and asking the questions to figure out and ultimately to understand the mind of their customer. Because remember, if you're doing sales, you have to be able to sell to yourself as well, because you're also a customer. So if you could sell within yourself, then you can also sell outwardly. And if you could sell with integrity and you can sell with your morals and your values intact, then it just becomes effortless. The people will come to you because they will need and want your services, those that need and may want it. And so that's essentially what he's saying in the book. And that's why I actually picked two very specific chapters in this book to help us to not only understand the book, but really to help us in our own sales route. Now, as before we go in there, there are many areas in your business and or in a business that you have to understand. We have the marketing, we have sales, we have PR, we have administrative personnel that support us in our journey, depending on what it is that your product or service is. There are all of these different and various dynamics that is part of your business. The main meat and potatoes, the core people, your marketing team, your sales team, your PR team, everyone's important. But when we're looking at the numbers, especially when you're bringing a product to launch, product to market, or service to market, and we want to target customers, how you sell is important. The psychology of sales is necessary. And I'm not talking about the wishy-washy, is your higher self aligned? Although, that's part of it. But it's more in depth than that. It is more in depth than that. So in chapter 10, let's get there. Chapter 10, curiosity. This is where we will start. That's the first one where we're going to start. Chapter 10, curiosity. And I picked this particular one because if people are curious, they will ask questions. When people are curious, they will ask questions. They will take a moment. They will pause. They will take that time to investigate. They want to understand your product. They want to understand your service. This is where your marketing comes in, right? When your marketing team is putting together and packaging your service, your product, and it goes out via your social media or your email list, that's part of to spark the curiosity of your audience, of the audience. A lot of people put in with the curiosity piece, they might say, oh, stay tuned, I have this like special announcement to make. And sometimes it's curious, but for the average person that's going through, they're like, okay, whatever. But if there's something that's teasing, something tangible, maybe you're asking a question about, instead of saying something is dropping on Friday, and you approach it, or your marketing team, I should say, approaches it by saying, this Friday, find the secrets to revolutionizing your mindset, for example, dropping Friday, launching Friday, whatever it is, right? But that will spark the curiosity of the average person going through your social media channel. Maybe they just come across it. Maybe Friday is not there yet, and they came across maybe LinkedIn, Facebook, X, one of those channels popped you up and said, recommended people to follow. So they click on your profile and then they see that and they're like, oh, well, what is this person doing that's going to revolutionize my mindset? So now they're going to be tuned in. They're curious to learn more. Now they might hit that like button, but and not only the like button, there's a high likelihood that they're actually going to follow, and they might hit that reminder button if your reminder button is on, because the marketing team will make sure that all of the things that they need to do, your CTA, that call to action, people can do that. And so now they're going to be hitting that reminder button. They may not follow right then and there, but they've hit that reminder button because they want to be reminded of, to hear the secrets. And then on Friday's launch, the book, your ebook or your program or your challenge or whatever it else, that's what's going to be dropping. And then so on and so forth, people end up signing up. And so it's that initial stages of curiosity where your marketing team, and it's a lot of them doing a lot of things, this is where they're the first step in sales happens, and they're the one that's going to help spark the curiosity of your audience. That's even before the sales team has gotten in. But you understand now that whole reason why curiosity is important. We want people to stop. The world is so busy. Social media is so busy. So you want people to stop. And so he goes on and he says on page 118, 119, there are 4 keys to unlock your client's curiosity. And the 4 keys is the curiosity is as important as intelligence. Curiosity is a conversation trigger for your buyers. So remember, I was talking a lot about how your marketing team plays a huge role, plays a huge part in the curiosity. Curiosity requires intellectual humility. So now, how your product, your service is presented, it brings humility to the audience. And that's a craft. It is a craft. Today, I'm going to be unpacking the book, Crisis Management, Master the Art to Prevent Disasters. Now, this is a Harvard Business Essentials, and the advisor for this book was Larry Barton, but the writer is Richard Loki. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you like this episode, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. We will get started. Now, when it comes to crisis management and how to master it, you need to have a PR team. You need to have a support team that is not only putting your business out there in the world, but also when disaster strikes, how do you control it? And this is essential. Now, in one of my past episodes where I unpacked the book Conscious Leadership, I shared about postmortem and premortem. So when you're working towards a goal, or if you're working towards a solution towards something, most people, after they've achieved their mission, what they do is they have that debrief afterwards. What worked, what didn't work. But in that book, Conscious Leadership, it talks about the premortem. So you have to look prior to sitting down and setting out the mission, the goals for perhaps the project that you're working on. What are some of the pitfalls that can happen? Where can we possibly be stagnant? What problems may arise? And so the premortem, which a lot of leaders don't necessarily talk about, and or business advisors, is a necessity, especially during this season of conscious leadership, conscious business, conscious consumerism. And so this book is very impactful today, where I'm unpacking crisis management, because once you start doing the pre-mortem work, the beginning stages of the work, and you can kind of navigate and see what potential crisis may arise, now it becomes easier for you and your team to be effective, to address it immediately so it doesn't get carried away, or it doesn't ruin the business. Now, you may think to yourself, I have a small business, perhaps I'm a startup. I don't need a PR team. I don't need to know about press releases. I don't need to have like a crisis management team. And I'm here to tell you that yes, you do. If you are working for a company, yes, you do. They have a PR team, and you will see this in major corporations. They have their own team that is there to share with the public when a disaster happens or something's going wrong, how they're going to navigate through that situation. Why? Because at the end of the day, they still need to keep their business. Right? The business is still moving forward, and if they don't address it and if they don't handle the crisis properly, what's going to happen? Well, they don't have a business anymore. People have lost their jobs, and the service that they are providing to the world or to their target audience no longer is going to serve. I will give an example. When Coca-Cola now started, one of the things that they used was pure, illegal drugs in there. And you guys know what it is, like the cocaine. But it was in small doses. Now, over the years, things have changed, and so they switched up the recipes after many years. Now, when Coca-Cola now started, and that's what they were using, right? Certain opioids. But now, they're using sugar, which is the new opioid, and everyone in the world is eating sugar. But that is not what we're here to discuss. We're here to discuss how to navigate and master crisis management. So I'll just give you a total review of the book. And don't forget to take a look back at Conscious Leadership, the Conscious Leader podcast, because there in that specific unpacking, I share a section about the value and the importance of pre-mortem and post-mortem, and how that is going to help your team when it comes to any sort of crisis that may and or may not arise. It's better to be prepared than not prepared. If you're not prepared, people don't know what to say. They can go out there and say whatever they want, which can affect your business, not in a good way, all right? Especially now with cancel culture and all of the things that's there. So you need a PR team. That's where I'm going to start. That's where I'm really going to focus on in this book. There's a lot of points, and I highly suggest, if you are starting a business, if you have a business, and if you have been in business for a long time, 5, 10 years, however long, regardless of the size of your business, you need to understand this. And you need to have a PR department. You have a marketing department. You have a sales department. You need a PR department. Maybe it's a PR team of 1. It may only be yourself, but it is important. When we think PR, it is long term. It is ever going. So you will see in some businesses every month, maybe twice a month, 3 times a month, their name is always in the news. Everyone knows their name. Yes, sometimes they have influencers and they have all these collaborations, et cetera, et cetera. They have their commercials or campaigns. But even in a slower season, their name, for example, Amazon, X, whatever company it is, Nike, they are always in the news in some way, shape, or form. If it's not on TV, it's digitally, which almost everything is, or in print. And the reason why they have that is because they need to be top of mind. When people see you, they will get to know you. Once they get to know you, they get to trust you. And so this is why your PR team is important. This is why, regardless of the size of your business, PR, public relations, is a necessity. So you, business owner, me, business owner, we have social media. Maybe we've been on a few podcasts. Perhaps you have been on TV at your local station. Perhaps you have done interviews for some magazine articles that are international, regardless of wherever you are. That is PR. Now people are getting to know you. You're building up your credibility so that other people can get to know you. On your social media channel, your marketing team that is there doing all the work that they're doing, they're not just marketing. They're helping and supporting your PR team, your public relations, because they're also part of it too, So your marketing team is instrumental in your business. When they're out there writing the captions and putting together the graphics and doing all of those things, they are presenting your business in a holistic, credible way, so that consumers, your audience, those who you're going to be serving, they can connect with you on a deeper level. They can get to know you. They can get to like you and trust you and recommend you and reshare all of these things. But what happens when there is a crisis? Do you know what to do? And a crisis can just be bad reviews. That's a start. We've seen, there was a few years ago, and I was reading about this many years ago. So that's how I know about it. A company was very popular, a small mom and shop eatery shop. They were very popular. They were doing very well for themselves, brick and mortar place, and a company hijacked them through their through hacking on their internet, and said, if you don't pay X amount of dollars, we're going to ruin your business. Now, this is a small mom and pop shop, and they weren't thinking internet security. They weren't thinking any of these things. And then they just let it slide. What happened and what proceeded to happen was whoever sent them that email started to put bad reviews, low reviews, tons and tons and tons of them, just everywhere. And because of that, now they are labeled as, what is being presented. Now the internet doesn't know left like if it's true or not. They're just getting the reviews. Google doesn't know. And in saying that, because they weren't prepared in the event of this particular attack and for this particular crisis, yes, they ended up in the newspaper. Yes, they ended up in like digital print talking about what happened to them, but their business slowed down, and then they eventually had to close. Now, this was a business that has been around for many years, for decades. They were a pillar in their community, but through some bad reviews and through people just like scammers trying to get money, and they said no, they took a stand, they put up all of these reviews, and then they couldn't handle it because they didn't know what next step to take. Now, what happened to the business? I don't know. I didn't follow up. There wasn't a follow-up story on it. But this is an example of a PR crisis in your business. And so now we're seeing consumers and our audience being very strategic, and they're being very vigilant, right? They want to know that I can trust you. So the minute they see you on social media, or they're going on Google and typing in the name of the company or your name, and right away they're gonna look at the reviews. Right away they're gonna look at your website if you have one, or your social media channel, and or any sort of articles or podcast or news interview that you have done, because they need to know if you are credible. They want to know if you are credible. So in saying that, now with your marketing team, if you do have one, when they're doing the posting and you do all the work, you have to be very vigilant, or they also need to be very vigilant in understanding, what to do if all of a sudden people are like, what type of messages they're sending your way, who is following, why are they following. You have to take a look at it, and then you have your team into why is these people following. Before, people didn't care, right? Oh, I need all of these followers. But now you want real followers, and you want followers who are in your target audience, who actually need and want your service. So that if there is some Yahoo, whoever, wherever they are in the middle of the world, on their computer that's trying to scam you or anyone, you are prepared. And so in the book, Crisis Management, How Do You Master It? They're telling you need to have a PR team. And it's true. You do need to have a PR team. And the PR team is there to make sure that people get to know, like, and trust you. Putting out what's going on in the business, like some of the wins and things that are happening out there so that your target audience knows you. They're trusting you, that you're in the media. It goes on further and it talks about how to handle a crisis. Now, in this book, what I particularly like is that they have an appendix section, and then they have how to put out a press release, and then they go step by step of what your PR team needs to do.